Hello, very good evening to everyone. I hope you can see me. I really hope that you can see me. I'm checking it myself. Okay, and I'm live. So, what are we watching today? What are we hearing today? Today I'm here with another wonderful classic story. But at all, before I start today's session, today's story, just let me know if you're here watching me. Send a like so that I know you're here and I can begin my story. And if at all you like the story that I'm telling, if you like any part of it, inspire the stories inspire in any way, do let me know, leave me a comment. It would be a nice thing to find out how the stories are adding something in your life, because the entire purpose of these stories is to kind of add something during this time of festivity, telling you that something different, something new is possible. And I hope that technically I'm going to be supported. I'm just checking before I go and I begin the story. All right, can I see me? Can I see me? Hold on. Okay, I'm very much here on the screen. Okay, so I'm confirmed that I'm on YouTube. And okay, that's great. So should we begin the story today? And here we go. This is a very interesting story and one of the classics that I'm sharing. Does and may feel like a children's story, but I do see this as something way more than just children's stories. And the entire purpose of telling children's stories like this is to plant some seeds in the world, so that when they grow up, these seeds flourish into something beautiful, in a way where they are able to share these fruits with others, something that they make out of it which is so unique to them, out of the seeds. And then the seeds go everywhere in the world. And I don't feel there is or there should be any discrimination between children's story and adult stories, because somewhere, as a child, I have been the one who've read adult stories, something that children would read. I mean, people would read when they are able to understand only in after the retirement, that level of spiritual content, not the adult content which is usually spoken about. And right now, it's totally fun for me to even go back and read the children's version of something and seeing that story from a totally different angle, uh, and remembering that what different world we miss out on, we forget, we leave behind when we grow up. And it kind of also adds inspiration to keep the inner child alive, because it's the inner child that is the most creative. It's the inner child that keeps you going in life in whatever way. And like, there is this movie that I saw in which they say there is this wise adult uh, who is asked a question by his son. And his son asks, what did you do, dad, when you were stuck in a situation? And his dad said, you know what, you've been asking this question to me at this age right now because you feel that I've lived the world and I've known so many things. But when I was stuck in a situation, I would come and ask you, tell you a story, and I'll ask you to find a response to that, and you would come up with some most unique ways to unstuck myself from that situation. And I would actually go apply that funda in my adult world. And you know what, it would work in that moment. I believed that's what this wise man, this elderly man, tells his son, that I believe that something that we adults can't see, children has a capacity to see. And that is exactly where today's story go. Also, the story is written by a world's well-known illustrator. His name is Chris Van Ellsberg, and he has illustrated many known books. He's an American illustrator. And amongst that, two of the films that has become most known, that is Jumanji, and the other is Polar Express. And these two books turned into some beautiful motion pictures. And that's where we begin our today's story as well. So the story is considered classic Christmas story with a deeper slice of life learning for anybody who is wishing to see it. The story begins at the Christmas Eve. A young boy wakes up in the middle of the night. A loud noise wakes him outside his house. He sees the bright light. No one else in his house, in his neighborhood, has heard this strange sound, only him. A train is waiting for him outside. With curiosity, he stepped out as if the train was waiting for him. He got onto the train and was surprised to see that there were other kids from God knows where on board too. The train began, it started, and after a magical, adventurous journey through the snowy tracks, finally this train reached to the North Pole, where they get to see Christmas elves and meet and see the Santa station and even meet Santa Claus. The boy gets his first Christmas gift from Santa Claus. He can choose whatever he wants, Santa said. And as was his fascination, he was always curious with the reindeer bell. He requested a bell from the reindeer's neck. Santa gave him that. But when he returned home in the train after this unexplainable experience, he realized that he lost his bell on the way back home. A bit sad, he fell asleep as this bell was the only memory from his North Pole adventure, a proof to something rare that he was able to experience that night. The next morning at Christmas, his sister found a small gift for him with his name on it under the tree. And when he opened the gift, what he saw, guess what? It was that very bell Santa Claus had given to him. And when the bell rang, the boy and the sister heard its sound, but not his parents. Oh, I wonder why. Do you know why the parents couldn't hear the sound of the bell? Only he and his sister could. Well, that is the reason why we are actually having this story today. As the years passed, the boy grew. The children who traveled with him to the North Pole grew. The boy remembered this experience for years. His sister and everyone else stopped hearing the sound of the bell every Christmas when he took out the bell. They stopped hearing the sound of the magic that was possible, that was coming from a magical place called North Pole, a different world where things are filled with cheers and magic and miracles and the spirit of Christmas. But this boy who had actually traveled all the way to the North Pole had this experience, the one who was carrying this experience in his heart, he never stopped hearing the bell. Just because that very experience had made him to believe in his heart in the Christmas miracle. And that's what it is, my friends. I want to add towards the end of the story is that many times there are things that we do unexpectedly, unknowingly. We do feel that this happened magically. We don't have any logical reasons and responses to how we were able to achieve it or do it, but it has happened through you. And when you go on explaining to other people that this is how you did it, and people find it difficult to believe in, well, that's where we give in and we leave aside the magic that we created. We just put it aside. We say maybe, yeah, it's just my illusion, or maybe that kind of experience may not be possible because it hasn't happened with others. We are so um, we are so conditioned to believe in something that most people or majority of the people believe in. But like a few days ago, we shared a story where I said, like, two snowflakes are same. Two snowflakes may have different designs, and there is something about you that was able to create that different way of achieving something, and it worked for you. Well, that is your magic. And if you stop believing in that part of you, then you got to stop believing in you, and you might just believe in the way everything else works in the world, not in you. And then what happens is that when we do that, when we forget our own uniqueness, that creates our work, our life beautiful and different, and we start operating from somebody else's way of, or majority's way of working, we do feel that life is not working the way I desire or the way I want, or you miss the thrill of the life, the thing that used to enjoy as a child. You felt okay, the world is beautiful. You just might stop believing in the beauty of the world. You might just see things that are not working for you. You may turn into somebody who's constantly complaining, wherein you were a totally different person back then. So, what magic about you that you just left aside, kept aside, ignored, forgot, that was your experience, and started believing in something that is not you? And it is different for everyone. So, maybe for somebody, something else works. And the greatest inventions in the world and the greatest, like, the names that we praise the most, why do we praise them? Because they had the courage to stood by something they believed in and the magic that they were. Maybe not every part of them was the best, was the great, but then there was something that they were able to show the world that was unique, that was different, and they showed us that this is a possibility, this is the way that something can be achieved too. So what if you kept that, something that you experienced that is unique to you, and maybe rest of the world is not wanting to believe in that, or saying that it doesn't work this way, but it is your experience, it worked for you, it made you happy. And if you kept that magic, that miracle, that experience alive in your heart, you might be able to, going further, show world a different way of possibility, of achieving something in life, of being something different in life. Do you have that courage? Is the question that I ask at the end of today's story. And would you be that miracle, that believer in you, just like this boy in the story called Polar Express, believing in the magic of you? And with that, I end today's story. And tomorrow, I'm going to come with another magical, beautiful, inspiring story on the series called Marshmallows, Presents, Stars, and Christmas Stories with Nirali Shah on the channel Alchemy of Being. See you all. Have a great night. Take care and bye bye.